All right, now we're going to move into bronze sculpture. Bronze is hollow casting, so when you see a sculpture of bronze or brass or anything made out of metal, it's always a hollow casting. It's not going to be a solid process, and this is the same type of process that we saw when we were looking in Africa and we saw the Oba's palace wall plaques. It's the same exact process. Most of Greek sculpture was actually made of bronze, and most of what we see today is marble sculpture that is Roman copies. The Romans would have taken the bronze and melted them down, or even cultures that came after them. And so we have very little bronze that is actual Greek bronze that survives, that has survived all this time. Process is quite different in making a marble sculpture as opposed to it's the lost wax process. The lost wax process is a clay mold, and then you make a wax mold of that, and then the core is connected by chaplets, and then the wax is melted out, and then you're pouring in the heated molten bronze to create the mold, and then the outer shell is then broken and then polished, and it's quite a process to do the lost wax. But the result is that you can have lots of negative space in a sculpture, meaning that you can have lots of space between the legs, like between the arms, and you have a very open stance. Because the tensile strength of bronze is much stronger than of marble. And as we will discuss when we get to the Dorypheus, with the marble, you need to have something in support to hold up a sculpture, especially a standing sculpture. So let's move to, here's just the process of the mold, and so you see the black portion is the actual bronze that's melted in there, and that ends up being the actual cast. And when you think about these things, don't think about it as being all one piece. It would have been, this probably would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe more pieces. So the limbs all would have been an individual piece, the torso and then the head, and then it's later melted all on, and so it's molded into pieces, not all one big huge stone, like a marble would be carved out of one marble piece of stone. Okay, so these are not on land because this was actually found, this was in underwater, and this was off the Cape of Artemisum and off of Greece, and it was an ancient shipwreck that had happened, and it was not found until 1972, which I have a specific memory of this. When I was a child, I was in 6th grade, and I remember when they found these, and part of the reason why I'm including it is not included in the College Board, but I have decided to include it because I love it, and because it's bronze, and you need to see what the difference between the bronze sculptures and the marble. So we are thinking he's Zeus, but Poseidon is in parentheses because we're not 100% sure. We think he's Zeus because of the hole in his hand, and we think that would have been large enough to throw a thunderbolt as opposed to the trident of Poseidon, and the positioning I think would have been a little bit different as well. If you listen to the Khan Academy video, you will hear them describe in detail why they think this is Zeus as opposed to Poseidon. And so we're at 460, 450 BCE. This is, again, made of bronze. And he's 6'10" inches tall. So that is larger than life because people have gotten taller. And so this is a large statue. Our theme is humanism and classic tradition again. And again, he's found off of the coast of the Mediterranean, out of the water. And so it would have taken a great deal of restoration after having been submerged to clean him up. You can see here's the picture of when they were found in 72 after cleaning up the shipwreck. And here he is again. So he would have been hurling probably a thunderbolt, and so unfortunately the attribution has now been lost. But we can see that he is definitely a god. He is gorgeous. Look at his body and his open stance, and his face is quite extreme. His eyes would have been filled with a shell or a stone of some sort. This is the same type of thing that we saw in Egypt when they had the eyes with the crystals. They would have been filled. And look at the detailing work on the hair and the beard. It's incredible. All of that carving would have been done in the wax and then, poured in to create this beautiful sculpture. So the video would have been on your homework, so we're not going to do that in this recording.